We have less than 1 minute remaining. In the meantime, drop it in the chat what you are so happy and grateful for, how you're feeling, how you're doing, where you're from. I don't know everybody on this call, so I want to just get to know some of you guys while we wait. Mel is grateful for each day, new occurrences, and for what she has. I'm not going to mispronounce your name, but I'm going to call you Q. You're grateful for God, your health, family. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Okay, we're going to get started. We are going to get started. So if you don't know me, my name is Peps. I am an artist. I am an entrepreneur. I am somebody who has been working closely with Tia for the longest time. And I don't say this lightly. You know, I believe everything happens for a reason. One of the reasons that I was able to not even just work with Tia and get to know her, but in working with her, I was able to literally see what was possible for me. You know, and that's one of the purposes of these vision calls, is to kind of see what is possible for us, you know? So I wanted to get on this call, and before I get into what I want to get into, I actually just want us to take a quick moment, and if you can, please turn on your cameras, but I want to take a quick moment to just kind of clear the space. You know, I want us to clear the space for a second. I want us to be able to get into the proper headspace. So what I ask, if you're able to, meaning if you're not driving, if you're, you know, in a safe space and a stable space, you know, to close your eyes for a second. Just close your eyes for a quick second. Take a deep breath in and slowly exhale. Take another deep breath in and slowly exhale. And just keep that same rhythm of breath. Keep that same rhythm of breath. And I don't know what it is that you need to receive. Maybe it's inspiration, strategy, motivation. My intention is to give you the best that I can, and just tap into the space of receiving what you need and what you feel. And when I get to one, not yet, when I get to one, slowly open your eyes. So in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So usually I have a PowerPoint and it's like, bam, I hit you once you guys open up your eyes, but that's not what's happening today. I wanted to just take a quick second for this call and just have a conversation. You know, the title of this call is Becoming the Person. And before I get into what I want to get into, if you guys have a dream, which I'm assuming that you do, and in this dream, if it feels kind of far, or you feel like you're such a different person than who you are today, or maybe not an entirely different person, but you know that this next version of your dream of you is not who you are in this very present moment. If that is you, drop me a 111 in the chat. If that is you, if you have a dream that feels a little bit out of reach, it's requiring to stretch yourself, to be a different person, act differently, believe differently, operate differently, just drop a 111, right? And me too, you know, me too. And when I was preparing for this call today, and honestly, when I prepare for any of these types of calls, I always just ask myself, like, what are we talking about? Usually, like, I don't always fully know with full clarity what it is until the day of. And usually the way that it works for me is I'll literally meditate, or I'll pray on it, or sometimes I don't do those things, but I'll see like a word or a phrase, or I'll see something over and over again. And I've been on set this whole weekend, and literally a few things came to mind repeatedly. Number one was stay ready so you don't gotta get ready. That was number one. Number two was consistency. And then what I feel like was the most meaningful to me personally, as an artist and as a dancer, was, wow, I'm really that person, and I'm still becoming so much more. And I was just thinking about kind of like where my life has been, you know, from where I started as a dancer, as an artist, as a person. And I actually want to stay in that space for a second on that phrase, like, wow, I'm really that person. and I'm becoming so much more. And that's one of the things that I actually didn't plan on talking about, but I want to talk about right now is, first of all, give yourselves due credit. Like, we all have these dreams. We're reading the books, we're on the vision calls, we're doing the work, we're trying to get like the next strategy, the next skill set, trying to get better, being in the gym more consistently. But give yourselves the credit for actually being where you're at today. Because at one point, who you are today was a dream. The house that you have, the apartment, the finances, even if it is not the dream house, the dream job, the dream career, the dream relationship, the dream scenario, I humbly offer up that maybe what you have today was once a dream, or maybe it's the pit stop for the actual dream. And what I want to say, like the actual dream, I personally believe, and this is what I talk about in my personal development bootcamp, is that if you do this right, if you do everything that you said that you would do correctly, right? It's like your goals will go into personal growth, then into action, then into success. And then that success is the dream. But from there, you start all over again. So you'll have a new dream, a new goal, something else to work on, right? Many of us, we trade together. And at first, the goal was like, I just want to understand support and resistance. And then you understand it. Then it's like, all right, let me work on my trend lines. Or maybe you're in business and you're like, okay, I want to learn the basics of business. And then you want to build the business, right? So I actually want to give you guys the opportunity to give yourselves a pat on the back for actually being where you're at today. Like, give yourself that due credit. Because one of the biggest things that I realized today, even though I'm not at the finish line, and honestly, the finish line is always moving, right? The finish line is always moving, which actually gets me excited about it. Because what I talked about in the last vision call that I did was I always work on myself because I believe that I'm worthy of becoming better. I don't work on myself from the space of me not being good enough, because that's not fun. But I work on myself from the space of me feeling and knowing that I deserve to be better, because I am worthy of it. And so are you. And one of the reasons that phrase came to me so many times was, I'm like, wow, I'm really on set filming videos or modeling or doing acting jobs. And at one point, that was just a dream. I remember, and Tia will tell you this, I would be in dance class and like asking her for advice and like trying to figure out everything from beginning to end. And I look back on my life and I'm like, it is so different. And I'm still excited about it. And who I am today is a result of years of work. And who I am going to become, who you are going to become, is years of work. And I don't want to focus on the time. I don't want to focus on the work. I don't want to focus on what that looks like. But what I want to focus is on the word become. I want to focus on what that word actually entails. And also, one of the most pivotal habits that we need for us to become that person, that we need for us to have that bank account become bigger, what we need for that business to become better, what we need for our bodies to become more fit or more healthy, what we need for our relationships with ourselves, with our partner, with our friends to become better and greater and different, right? Because when I was literally preparing, and I'm a big research person. Like, if you've been on one of my calls, you know I look up the words for everything. So I was literally looking up the word become. And the word become comes from the German, and that means to receive. And I was like, okay, that's weird, because I was like, I have this whole boot camp. I was like, it's 6 sessions, it's 2 weeks. I'm like, we set goals. And I never once thought about the word become. I'm like, we're just becoming the person. And when I was researching it, and I was like, if the word become means to receive, then I was like, does my bootcamp actually mean to receive the person? Like, just think about that for a second. Like, receiving the person, receiving the vision, receiving the gift, receiving the idea. And that can sound so easy, you know? It sounds so easy to receive something as if we don't have to do anything. It sounds so easy to think that if we just have the vision and the clarity and the dream, that's what we need. And I've structured this whole 2-week course on a 2-week goal that we set. And we have sessions to build around belief and built around habits and time management. But what I never thought about is if we're receiving the person, right? If we are receiving the person, then, and if we want to receive the person to receive the dream, then we also have to receive the habits of the person, the work ethic of the person, the belief patterns of that person, the strategies of that person, the commitment level of that person. We don't just receive the vision because that's the easy part. We don't just receive the idea because that's the easy part. What we struggle with, what I've struggled with, and I still work on, is receiving what the next level of me is doing to have the next level of my dream. Because it is so easy to fall into the idea of, well, let me just dream about it. Let me just dream on the vision. Let me just manifest. Let me just focus on the law of attraction. And that is such a big setup. It's like, I'm praying, get the opportunity, I receive it, and you're like, it's not working. My life is still the same. I signed up for the gym. My body is still my body from 2019 to 2021. You're like, I don't even know what's happening. You're like, I signed up, I received the vision, right? If you resonate with that, drop me a 111 in the chat. You're like, I attracted it. I attracted the opportunity. I got the job. I got the money. I got the skill set. You know, you're like, nothing is changing. And one thing that I talk about in my boot camp is that the law of attraction, right, has the word attraction. That's like literally the attraction of the law of attraction. It's like, let me just attract it to me. Let me just bring it to me. But in the word attraction, there's the word attract, and then there's the word action, right? So it's not just, let me just attract the dream. Let me just attract the money. Let me just attract the business. Let me just attract the partner. Let me just attract the body. That's so passive. That is so passive. The other word of attraction is literally action. Literally action, right? And that's one of the biggest things that even Tia just mentioned, the word traction, right? In the word traction, there's also the word action. So in attraction and traction, even in distraction, right? Which I'm sure Tia talked about earlier, is that in those phrases, in those terms, it sounds like we are doing something. We are moving towards something. Even the word to receive tells me I have to do something to get something. I have to actually put myself in the space, in the environment to get what I want. But I will never get in the right space, in the right environment, and have the dreams if I'm not the right person. And for me to become the right person, I need to take the right actions consistently. And I don't say this from a space of like, well, I'm a 7-figure earner. Not yet. I don't say it from the space of I've accomplished every single dream. What I am saying it from the space is I was once a person who had very little belief in himself, was afraid to train, was afraid to even get on a chart and try to trade. But I come from the space of having done so much work on myself, because all of the dreams that I'm now seeing like around me were a result of the work that I did and still do. So if we're gonna have these dreams and these goals, and yes, we can goal set and get clarity of vision. But to be honest, many of us don't even need to get clarity of vision as to what we want. Because we know we wanna be happy, we wanna be wealthy, whatever that means to you. We wanna have a family, we wanna have money, we wanna have this car, we wanna have this house, like we know. Like, I'm going to make an assumption on this call and say that we all know to some degree what it is that we want, right? Even if you're like, oh, I don't know what I want. No, it's like, you want to be happy. You don't want to struggle. You want to have peace of mind. And usually, what are the things that bring you happiness? You know what are the things that brings you peace of mind? Like you have some idea. It's not like you're walking through life blindly. What I see oftentimes is that we say that we want something, we say that we want to do something, and we say we want to become someone. But if we were, and I actually want you guys to write this down, if you were to look at where you spent your time this past week, right? And if you were to grade the quality of your actions this past week, let's say from an A to an F, I humbly ask you, if you were to use those two parameters to gauge how serious and how committed you were to the things that you say that you want, you may discover that your actions and your words are in two different realms. They're not even in alignment. They're not even in the same ballpark. As like, you want to be in shape, but it's like you haven't been to the gym in months. You want to master trading, but you haven't studied. You want to have better relationships, but you don't talk to nobody. So if you were to review, even just this past week, your actions and your time, maybe you may discover that you're in a discrepancy. And we focus on manifesting or attracting, and we're not doing. You see, when I was on set today, I was literally learning choreography on the spot. I was freestyling, and I was like, oh my God, I was like, I'm ready. I was like, I'm ready. And then I was like, oh my God, I'm ready because I became that person. And I was like, oh my God, I became that person because I did the work. And I was like, wow, I became the dancer that I once thought myself to be in my dreams. Like, I'm literally that person. Is there room for improvement? Absolutely. Absolutely. Don't get me twisted. There's always room for improvement. But I say this because for years, literally for years, maybe 4 or 5 years, I would go to dance class almost every single day, 4 or 5 hours a day, investing my time, my energy, my effort, money to become the dancer and the artist that I am today. And it would be so easy for me to be like, you can do it. And you can. It would be so easy for me to say, like, stay ready so you don't gotta get ready and end the call, which is also a fact. But the thing that I feel like we most struggle with is being consistent. And being consistent has to do with your level of commitment. Because you're only consistent or inconsistent because your level of commitment is at a certain level. And your level of commitment has to decide with whether or not you think your dreams are worth it, and or if you feel that you're worthy of those dreams. That's with a lot of calls that we do, even when it comes to trading or when it comes to fitness or when it comes to pursuing your dreams. A lot of people ask, like, well, do you think it's possible? And in the last vision call that I did, I talked about belief and confidence. Because the thing is, we're always believing in something. We either believe that it's possible or impossible. We either believe that we're capable or incapable. We either believe that we have the time or that we don't have the time. We either believe that it's too much money or that we don't, or that it's not enough money, right? We either believe that it is something that we can do or it is something that we can't do. So your level of commitment has to do with what you believe in, whether it is worth it or if you're worth it, and your level of commitment is going to affect your level of consistency. So if you want to have those dreams, if you want to become that person, if you want to actually see for yourself what it is that is available to you, if you want that in your life, then not only do you have to make a decision as to what it is that you want, but you also have to decide every single day, I need to be consistent with the right actions to get the results that I want. Every single day. And I'm going to give you some practical tips on how to be more consistent. Yes, I will do that. But every single day, you have to ask yourself, what am I committed to? And then review the day before. If I was committed to this based on actions and time, I don't want to say results because sometimes results are lagging, right? Sometimes results lag for a very long time and then finally catches up to you. But based on where you spend your time and how you do what you do, how committed are you to what it is that you say that you want? See, we say that we want to be happy, that we want to look a certain way. We say that we want a certain amount of money, and we say so many different things. But if we were to literally gauge ourselves, the truth may be different than what we're saying. And see, commitment isn't what you say, it's what you do. Commitment is literally what you do, not what you say, right? That's why we say it all the time. Commitment is doing the things you said you would do long after the mood you said it has left you. If you don't do it, you're not committed. Does life happen? Yes. But just because life happens, and let's say you have to take a scheduling detour, meaning some things become more priority, which again has to do with choices, right? Doesn't mean you can't recommit. Doesn't mean that just because there's an emergency or you book a job or an opportunity comes your way that you have to put something off and not go back to it. So commitment may be, you know what, something is more important at this very moment, right? It is priority. Let me put this down for a second, come back to it when I can, because I actually want this to become this, because that is important to me. Because your commitment has to do with what you feel is most important, right? So for you to have that dream, for you to become that person, to receive and maintain everything that you see in your head, you actually need to do the work. And the second word that I was researching is consistency. It literally means to stand firm. And what do you think that means, to stand firm? To me, standing firm means I am clear. I have a very strong idea of what I'm working on. I'm going to decide, hell or high water, this is happening. To me, standing firm means like you are strong. Like there is no turning back. There is no compromises on my dream. To me, standing firm means that you are so clear, you are so sure, you are so excited, and you are decided on getting it done, right? And I think it is so important that as we prepare to go into this week, that number one is be honest with yourself. Like at the end of each day, I ask myself, I'm like, on a scale of A to F, I'm like, what would be the grade that I would give myself on this day? I'm like, is it a C? Is it a B? Is it a D? Is it an A? Personally, I don't try to judge it, but I know for me, I'm like, if it's a C or a D or an F, I'm like, what are we doing? What are we doing? And then I ask myself, I'm like, okay, Peps, I'm like, the next level of me, the next version of me, and I want you guys to ask yourselves this too. The next version of myself, the next best version of who I am and what they do and what they have. How close am I to that person? Maybe not in results, but maybe in the way of being. Because one of the best ways for you to stay ready so that you don't have to get ready is by being consistent in doing the work. Because most people have to always end up getting ready because they stopped doing the work. It's like, ask any dancer. It's like, if you're consistent with your dance classes and then you take a break for like 2 weeks, when you're back, you're like, oh, I'm off. I feel weird. It doesn't feel natural. It feels like I don't know what I'm doing as well. But if you constantly work on your body, if you work on your skill set, maybe you don't even have to dance every day. Maybe you're always conditioning your body, but if you prepare your body and your mind in the area in which you want to excel in, day in and day out, you don't have to get ready. There may be a few things here and there that you'll have to prepare, right? There may be a few things that you may have to like learn and research, but if you're always working on yourselves, right? If you're always doing the right action steps day in and day out on a consistent basis, you no longer will have to get ready. You will be ready. So when I was on set today and I was like, wow, I'm not even stressing about the steps or freestyling because I do it all the time. I may not take as many dance classes as I used to, but literally I practice at home often. I literally listen to music. I study myself. I audition all the time. So even though certain action steps have changed, I wasn't stressing on set today, picking up choreography literally as it was thrown and performing it like 5 minutes later because I was ready. I was prepared. And the way I became that person was because I was consistent in doing the right actions. So I want to ask you guys, and this is something that you should answer for yourselves at some point, is what are you being consistent with? Because so often we're consistent with things we should be inconsistent with. And so often the vision, the dream, the person that we see in the future require us to do an entire overhaul of how we're believing and how we're showing up, right? And there's probably like 3 people on this call, right? There's the person who had the dream, got started, was consistent, then they fell off, right? Then there's the person who's like, I kind of have a dream, but I haven't committed to it, but I see it, but I'm like tiptoeing in here, but you just literally have the dream. So you didn't even start, you just saw the dream, right? So first person had a dream, got started, committed to it, something happened, fell off. That's number 1. Number 2 is a person that's kind of has an idea what they want to do, but they're kind of just like walking around trying to figure it out, not really committing to anything besides being uncommitted. So they're consistently being uncommitted, but they still have this dream that they say that they want, right? So got started, fell off. Number 2, saw the dream, haven't gotten started. So you're kind of just being consistent with being not started. If you're number 1, drop me a 1. If you're number 2, drop me a 2. And maybe you could be a combination. So if you're a combination, drop me a 3. But I want to see in the chat where everybody's at. Lucy's a 1, Jen's a 3, Bree's a 3. DJ's a 2, Calvin is a 1, Mel's a 3, Reynolds is a 3. Wow, we're seeing a lot of 3s. We're seeing a lot of 3s. So here's the thing, is like I said before, is we know what we want to some degree. We know what we want to some degree. Now, whether you're a 1, a 2, or a 3, I'm gonna give you guys some steps, some practical steps that you can do whenever you want. And I would encourage you guys, especially if you're a 3 or a 2, to really do this tonight. Because even if you have some general idea of what it is that you want, you need to decide and you need to get specific. Because one thing that I always say is for you to be successful, you need to be specific. You need to specify your dreams, to specify your actions. So the first thing, and please write this down, the first thing that I offer up is figure out what you want. So for example, using me as an example, there was a point where I knew I wanted to dance. I was like, okay, we want to be dancing. And my goal at first was like, okay, let's dance. I was like, let's get into class, let's train. Then my goal, relating it to today, was to develop the skill set of dance to the point where I would be comfortable with dancing on the spot, picking up choreography, freestyling, where I wouldn't have to stress. So number 1 was figuring out a specific goal in relation to my big dream. So number 1 is figure out exactly what you want, right? Number 2 is why. Why do I want this goal? Why do I want to work on this idea, this dream, this vision? You know, when I first got started with trading, I was excited because I was like, oh my God, I want to make money. I was like, I get to make money. I was like, hello, 6 figures, retirement. I was like, it's cool. And then it wasn't until kind of later on when I was having a private session with Manny and I was literally seeing him in real time. I was like, oh my God, I was like, you're making so much money. And then I was like, thinking about it for myself, I'm like, I want to be financially free. And I had an idea. I was like, I want to be financially free. Like, I don't want to stress about money. But what I saw, and this was the why, what I saw when Manny was making all this money was, wow, I can actually pay off all of my credit card debt. I saw the number flash in my head. I could retire my mom. I could fund my music. I could get my dream house. I saw everything that was available to me, and that became my why. Same thing with dancing. There was a point where choreography and freestyling, and I still work on those things, were so foreign to me that I wanted to enjoy dancing and doing jobs without having to stress about it. So one of the reasons why I focused so much on dance for a long period of time was because I wanted to develop the skill set to such a level that I would enjoy what I was doing without the stress, as well as getting paid to do those things. So not only did I know what I wanted, I knew why. And once I knew what and I knew why, everything else became easier. See, now I get excited to study trading and I get excited to work on dancing because it no longer feels abstract or foreign or like I don't even know what it is. It's important to me to have those things. It's important for me to dance and feel happy and feel confident in what I'm doing versus like, oh, I'm not really sure what's happening. It's important for me to learn how to trade because I know what is available to me in becoming a successful trader is so much greater than where I'm at now. So with me knowing the why, I get excited to do the work, which makes it that much easier. So many people don't do the work because they're not excited about it. And they're not excited about it because their goal feels so big and so far. But if you're excited about your goal, the work doesn't even matter. Yes, you'll have those days where you're tired. Yes, you'll have the days where you're like, oh my God, I have to go to the gym again. Oh my God, I have to get on this go live. Oh my God, I have to work on myself. Yes, you may be tired, it happens. But for the most part, I can tell you guys, I actually get excited to be on set. I get excited to read another book. I get excited to coach. I get excited to actually like learn from Tia and learn from other people because I get excited about the fact that I'm getting closer to my dream. And then I'm getting even more excited that once I get to this dream, I can actually dream bigger and dream new. So not only will you be able to have more dreams by accomplishing your current dreams, but you'll probably be more excited and happy about life, period. And that has to do with not even just your belief level, but with you being consistent. Because if the only thing that you're doing is believing, good luck trying to have those dreams. Like really good luck, because it's not even about a thing of let me just, you know, have the vision and the dream and the idea. It's about doing the work, right? Like you can't believe and not do. You can't manifest and not move. You can't even have faith and not work. So if you want what you say that you want, you need to become that person, and that person will only come forth with you doing the right things at the right time with the right intention consistently. So whether you're a 1 or a 2 or a 3, it doesn't even matter. Because if you feel that you're not being consistent with your dreams and your goals, then my question for you is, what are you going to do? Because you're either going to do something about it or you're going to do nothing about it. And to me, that nothing could be like, okay, let me just do it one day and let me see what happens. No. When you're going to do something about your dreams, it is a decision, right? And that's why standing firm is such an important definition for the word consistency. Because once I decided, I'm like, I'm going to be the first multimillionaire in my family, an artist, an entrepreneur, I'm like, there is no other option. It may take me longer. It may take more time. It may be more work. It may be more money. Let's be real. But I was like, that's what I want. And if you want your dreams and you're not doing the work, then going back to what I said earlier, your level of commitment is going to have to do with whether you think it's worth it or if you're worth it. So again, if you think that it's worth it and that you deserve it, figure out a specific goal, number one. Figure out the why for that specific goal, meaning why is that important? How does it relate to your bigger dream? Number three, which is probably one of the easier things, is game plan. Literally game plan. And honestly, you don't even need to do it by yourself. Most of our dreams that we have already been done. Like, do you know what I'm saying? It's like, we don't even need to have faith in the dream, because, you know, faith is like the evidence of things not seen, but it's like, we've seen the artists, we've seen the success stories, we've seen the multimillionaires come from nothing. We've seen people go from unhealthy to being healthy. We've seen people literally transform their lives. So we don't even need to have faith in those things. What we need to do is believe that it is possible for us, and then do the work in support of that goal, right? Do the work in support of that idea and of that dream. And that's my fourth step, do the work. So the game plan, you figure out the strategy, the steps, the money, the groundwork that you need to actually implement in order to be successful in that goal, and then you do the work. Fifth, recommitting. Recommitting. And that doesn't just mean if you fell off one day, yes, but every day until it becomes a habit, you have to recommit. You have to tell yourself, okay, this is what I'm working on. This is what I'm doing. This is why this is important. Every day you have to recommit. And especially for the people that felt like they got started, we're excited, we're doing the work, then something happened, it wasn't moving as fast, life showed up, maybe you went through a tough situation, I get it, been there, but it's like, recommit. Recommit to the things that you said that you want, because that vision, that goal, that dream, that next level of you is going to require you to either step up, and if you don't, you're stepping back. So you either have the option. Again, you think it's possible, that's impossible. You think that it's available, that is unavailable. You think that you're able or unable. And you also have the option of stepping up or stepping back. And I don't know about you, but I know for this week, and I know a lot of us on this call have still a lot of dreams and goals that we want to accomplish. And if you do, drop me a 111 in the chat. If you still feel they have all these dreams, all of these goals, all of these ideas that you still want to accomplish, then you have to decide for yourself, am I stepping up or stepping back? And I don't mean stepping back in the sense of, let me actually re-strategize and game plan. That's not what I mean by stepping back. A lot of people step back, they're like, you know what, it's not the right time. I don't really have the money. Let me just wait it out. Sometimes you do have to handle personal affairs. Sometimes there are things that are more priority. But stepping back to me is when you make the choice to step back from doing the work because you feel that it's either never going to happen, that it's too much work, that you don't know if it's worth it, you don't know if you're worth it, so you decide to step back, and then years go by, months go by, and you're like, I'm still having the same dream. I'm still having the same idea. My life still feels the same. And then you're stuck in the world of the same. And it's like, who wants to be in the same place, being the same person, and not growing? And we hear it all the time, especially from Tia. It's like, you're either growing or you're dying. So if you feel like you're being in the same exact place, having the same exact things, with the same exact people, with the same exact finances, with the same exact career, same exact feeling, at some point, that is gonna feel like death. And you're gonna be like, oh my God, but I still have this dream. And so many of you guys dropped the 111 in the chat. That you still have goals and you still have ideas and you still have things that you want to work on. But you will never get to those things or even have greater than, because like I said before, it's like dreams, work, growth, success, new dream. You will never have greater than if you don't move. So for this week, I offer up that you take this 5-step process of figuring out what you want, maybe just for the week, or maybe you do it per day. You figure out what it is that you want, why you want it, figure out what you need to do to get it done, do the work. And maybe you don't get it by the time that you wanted it. Maybe you don't get it at all. Maybe you just don't have it at any point in your life. But what I promise you that you will get is you will become the next best level of you. You will become the person that will be able to generate so much more for themselves. So whether or not you had a great week, a great past week, whether or not this month was challenging, whether or not this year, these past few years have been great or not so great, regardless of what it is, let it go and allow yourself to go into this week consistently showing up as a person that you want to become. Because the only difference between that person that has left of your dreams and who you are today is a choice and the actions that you take. So in closing, I want you guys to take these 5 steps and apply it to one area of your life, maybe just one, and asking yourself, like, if this is really important to me and I want to receive more than what I have now, what can I do? What can I learn? What can I implement on a consistent basis that would allow me to maybe not even just have the dream, maybe not have the dream at all, but get a little bit closer. Just get a little bit closer. Because again, I say this a lot to people that I coach. We're not tested to see if we'll pass. We're tested to see how we'll pass. But on that note, guys, I want to go ahead and end this call. I want to give you guys, some time to dissect a lot of this information. And if you feel that you're in a space in your life where you're like, I'm not committed, recommit. It is so possible for you to have what you said that you want, but it requires you to get it. But on that note, guys, take care and enjoy the rest of your Sunday and have a beautiful, abundant, amazing week. Bye, guys.